in a small, dimly lit basement office, where the pungent aroma of stale coffee mingled with the endless buzzing of flickering lights, rested our protagonist, Phil, a self-proclaimed quote detective. Phil had a questionable knack for sniffing out historical quotes and assigning them new meaning, usually involving something absurd like, "The art of war is figuring out how to commandeer a pizza without leaving the couch." Phil thought he was onto something big as he hunched over a cluttered desk with precarious stacks of yellowing books threatening to avalanche at the next ill-timed sneeze. As Phil scanned through the pages of timeless quotes of importance, he stumbled upon something profound. The unexamined life is not worth living. The quote, glaring from the pages like a lost child in a department store, was attributed to none other than Socrates, the man whose entire career could arguably be described as a never-ending philosophical roast of Athenian society. Socrates, much like Phil, loved questions. So, naturally, our fervent sleuth began questioning everything around him, like why no one had yet invented AI to clean his desk or write his scripts. Inspired, Phil embarked on a mission to apply Socrates' wisdom to modern-day life, starting with his favorite life task, choosing takeout. "Know thyself," Aristotle screamed from Phil's quote board, probably in an attempt to stop Phil from ordering sushi yet again, blaming last weekend's disaster on an insufficient examination of one's desires. With Aristotle meddling in his culinary affairs, Phil decided perhaps it was time to explore a new dining experience, like courageously trying his neighbor Ed's infamous Brussels sprout casserole. Phil also dabbled in Plato, who said, "Courage is knowing what not to fear." This wise advice resonated particularly well after the catastrophe with Ed's casserole. When Phil discovered he had absolutely nothing to fear except a vase-shaped Tupperware containing his leftovers that glowed ominously in the fridge. Phil's journey through history's luminous quips took a whimsical turn when he stumbled headlong into the words of Confucius. Real knowledge is to know the extent of one's ignorance. This epiphany struck Phil just as he attempted to replace his printer's ink cartridge, only to discover he'd been trying to insert a pack of glue sticks instead. Alas, real knowledge indeed. In a world where wisdom and wit often collide like bumper cars at a fair, Phil realized that these musings from antiquity served a higher purpose than merely sounding sagacious at dinner parties. They illustrated life's labyrinthine hilarities, offering wisdom wrapped in nuanced absurdity. And as he sat back, heartburned by Brussels sprouts and surrounded by a kingdom of disarray, Phil concluded that the real art of quotes, and maybe life itself, was about never taking oneself too seriously.